Lovely. So up until now we've been looking at deposits and loans where we put the money in the bank or we borrow the money from the bank, and at the end of the loan period or end of the depositing period, the bank will either repay us our principal plus a set of interest, or we repay the bank the principal plus the interest. However, in reality, this isn't how it works. In reality, with credit cards, car loans or home loans, you repay periodically. So that means each month, usually each month, you pay a set amount. So generally it's done monthly. However, you can repay every quarter or every 6 months, similarly to the compounding periods we've been talking about before. So for example, I've just taken out a mortgage and I'm expected to pay a set amount each month. Now, our calculators will help us find the monthly repayments, how much we repay each month. However, there's a couple of things that once we've found that, we can then use. So our total amount repaid is the number of payment periods. So this here is N. Number of periods is N that we've been using in our calculators. And we can find N by doing, say, the number of years times the number of periods in a year. So if it was compounded monthly for 2 years, then N would be 2 times 12, which is 24. And the amount for each period in the calculator comes up as PMT. And until now we've been writing the PMT as 0, but now we'll be able to find the payment amount. Essentially this is saying the total amount of money we give back to the bank is how much we pay each month multiplied by the number of months. Make sense? So over the period of the loan, that's the total we give them. Now, the total interest repaid is how much we've repaid in total minus what we borrowed. So think about this as calculating the interest, and that's our future value, how much it is at the end, minus the present value. Or the total we've repaid minus what we had at the start. So it's the difference between the two. And there is a shortcut for doing it on the calculator, but I really rather did it by hand. Alright, so let's do a quick example of this. Take my home loan. Say for argument, I've borrowed 300,000. Does anyone know what about the percentage rate is at the moment? About 5.45% monthly for 25 years. And I want to know how much do I repay each month. How much do I repay in total? And how much of that is interest? So what is the total interest? And once again, our working is exactly the same as our old compound interest questions. So, how would I find N, the number of periods, if it's compounded monthly for 25 years?
2 times 25 by 4.
If it was... Yeah, amount of periods in a year. So if it's monthly, how many periods would there be in a year? Yeah, 12. So 25 years times 12, because there are 12 periods in the year. 300. Now our interest, we don't have to convert to a decimal. We put it in there as a percent. Present value, what do we put in there? 300,000. Is it positive or negative?
Positive because you borrow.
Yeah, positive because you're getting the money. So think about the signs indicate the direction of flow from your point of view. If it's positive, you're getting money, which is a good thing, right? So 300,000 positive. Payments, we don't know. Alright? That's what we're trying to find out, how much I have to repay each month. Now, what about future value? That's a slightly confusing one. You can think about 300,000 is how much I've borrowed, and at the end you want the amount you've borrowed to read 0. You want to pay out your loan. So the future value will be 0. You want to decrease the amount you've borrowed to 0. You want to owe the bank nothing. Now, P/Y is payments per year. We're making monthly payments, so 12 payments per year. And compounds per year, it's compounding monthly, so 12. Alrighty. And now can you guys get out your graphics calculators and see if you can remember how to find that function that lets us do this.
Are there any tissues in
No, I'm sorry.
here? Okay, yes.
You can. If anyone needs to borrow a graphics calculator, I have a couple.
Let's borrow one.
Yep, there you go. Alright, so how much do I repay each month? Approximately. And we find that by clicking F4. And you should have got that. Minus 1833. And the reason there's a negative sign in front of us is because the calculator is telling us that we're losing $1,833 each month. Good morning.
I haven't actually, they're late to class, so I haven't actually seen that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Seen him yet, but he's out for 2 days. He'll be away for the rest of the week from your class, so if you can, he'll do his maths in the PMR.
Alright, today is revision and then Thursday's a test for them.
You
Okay,
can do the test down there.
they can.
You
Alright,
won't see him, just give his work.
thank you. So I send the work to the BMO?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now, have you got anything I can give Jacob so you don't have to encounter him?
Today, you mean?
Yeah. He's out today and tomorrow.
Yes, I have.
Got work to catch up. He'll be working at home.
Here's this there, that study for the test. I can write it
You
down.
better write it down. You wouldn't have been allowed to wear that black T-shirt in year 10. So they're letting you get away with too much in year 11. And the makeup. Oh, you used to be nice little people once. Yeah, we'll look right.
Here you go. So, page 148.
Alright,
Questions 1 to 8. And then there's an assignment that he's got that's due Friday and the test is Thursday.
Alright then, you're busy.
Alright.
I won't be here next Friday.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Alright, Sorry for the interruption, 11s. So, our monthly repayment, or my monthly home loan repayment, is $1,833.13. So that's our first question. Once we've got that, how much do I repay in total? And how do I find how much I repay in total? And this, you don't need this special function on the calculator for.
71 or 13.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 31.
Wow.
Well,
That's
32.
especially dyslexic of me. Okay. Thank you. 32. Alright, so you're close with timesing by 12. That's how much I repay each month. If I multiply it by 12, that would be the amount I pay in a year. But remember, my home loan doesn't just go for a year. So how do I work out how much I repay in total? You're on the right track with 12.
Is it that minus 309?
Not quite, no.
Do we have to times the 12? Do we have to use a 12 times 25?
Good. So the 12 times 25 is how many periods there are? How many months? Yeah, so there are 300 months in this over the 25 years. So I will make this payment of $1,833 300 times. Yeah? Huh? It's going to be a lot, yes. 1,833.32 times 300 times. Alright, so very close to 550,000. And if you're wondering how banks make their money, they lent me 300,000 and I'm paying them back over the next 25 years 550,000. That's fundamentally what happens. Does a bit, but it means I get a house now. Or in your case, you guys get a car now if you want to take out a loan and do a similar thing, which you'll be doing in your folios. How much of this is interest?
Do you take the 3 away from the 5?
The 300,000?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the total amount I repay. I've borrowed 300,000. So the difference between them is the interest. If I borrow 300,000 and I repay 550, that difference between is interest. And you can think about this as the amount of money the bank actually makes from me over that period. Because they get their 300,000 back plus this amount. And essentially what your folio is centred around is using strategies to minimise how much you repay over time. Minimising how much you manage to decrease that interest payment by. Because you don't want to give the bank any more money than necessary, right? So how can you possibly decrease this amount? And that's what the folio is about. First we're going to do some practice questions, and then later in the lesson we're going to go back and look at the first couple of steps in your folio to get you on the way. One last part to this is D. How much, let's say, how do we figure out how much would I owe after 2 years? Now for this we need to go back to our calculator, but the working is the same as before. Alright, so here, if we want to find out how much I owe after 2 years, it basically means I've been making these payments of 266 point, what was it? No, not 266. I've been making those payments for 2 years. So what would my N be?
2 times 12.
Lovely, 2 times 12. And I want to know how much I owe, so the future value is going to be a question mark. So what this working is telling us is that for 2 years, I paid $1,833 at 5.45% interest. I started off borrowing $300,000, and I want to know how much I have still left to go. Yeah. How much have I decreased it by over those 2 years? Does that sort of make sense? Mm-hmm. So the N is the number of payments. Alright, so we go to our calculator. And all we want to find out now is the future value. So after 2 years, I owe $288,000. I've only decreased the total by about $12,000.
I didn't get that last
Yeah, I think so.
one. You got to buy.
I got minus 387. I'm going to be big number. But I think I did it wrong.
N24.
Because change the payment to like 0.32 instead of being like.
Why did you change the payment? Because we're still paying the same amount. So each month I'm still paying this amount.
Yeah, I didn't change it. I didn't change
And then
it.
you press FE to find future value.
Yeah.
Is your payment negative 1833?
Yeah. No.
Sorry, because I should have done that in the working here. It should be negative 1833 because that indicates we're paying money away. Yours is?
Yeah.
And you still didn't get the same answer as me.
No, that's out.
You did? Good. Kira, let me look at yours. Yours is 12. This is 2 years, so we'll need 24. Alright. These become easier with practice, so what I'd like you to do is go to page 236 for F.3, and there are 4 questions there, and then for F.5 there are 3 questions, and then we'll go on to the folio.